My career started in banking and finance, where I held several senior roles that included risk management. I was also a chief operating officer. More recently, I spent a lot of time with the public sector, specifically with Academy Global, where I deliver risk management, project management, and financial trading. Risk is the effect of uncertainty upon objectives. So risk is all about a robust, repeatable set of policies and procedures that allow any organisation to achieve its strategic priorities. Well, by far the biggest is that risk is all about saying no. Most people who haven't been involved in risk think that risk is all about bad outcomes, but that's not actually the case. Risk can actually have good outcomes. In fact, it is a very viable risk treatment alternative to accept more risk, but you can only do that on the basis of an informed decision. So you need a robust, repeatable set of policies and procedures that allow you to make informed decisions. A black swan event, by definition, is something that's absolutely extraordinary, unforeseen, and potentially a game changer for the organisation. To the extent that you have invested time in your business to put in place policies and procedures to measure with the scale and materiality of your business, yes, having made that investment in time, that will definitely go a long way towards helping mitigate any problems occurring from black swan events. The black swan is the outlier, the extreme. The black swan will encompass more minor risk events, if you like. So having put in place the preparation for those more minor risk events, that will go a long way towards assisting you in treating that black swan event and hopefully ensuring your business is continuing as a viable alternative. So the corporate and specifically the banking and finance risk management environment focus on market, liquidity, operational and credit risks. They are the key activities commensurate with the scale and activity of the banking and finance sector, whereas the public sector focuses more on operational, strategic and reputational issues. Again, they are activities that need to be considered commensurate with the scale and materiality of that sector. So really there's no difference. It's simply understanding your business and putting in place the policies and procedures to measure it with your specific activities. So in fact, if any organisation has had no experience with risk management, there's a framework called ISO 31000, which if you simply apply that framework, will go a long way towards bringing that organisation in a far safer position than they were previously. But having said that though, there are a couple of tools and tricks applicable to any circumstance. When you first look at a risk and you identify your risk, it's known as an inherent risk. And there are a couple of tools you can use to help any organisation identify inherent risks. The first is known as PESTEL analysis. It stands for political, environmental, social, technological, economic, and legal. And you consider the drivers or those factors under each of those headings that might influence adversely or potentially even benefit your business. A PESTEL analysis gives any organisation a very good high-level overview of the inherent risks they face. If you were to supplement that with SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, that's more micro view of that specific business. So those two tools, very simple, can be applied in any circumstance. PESTEL and SWOT give you the big picture and more micro view of risks in any organisation. Everyone in every decision they make should be aware of the risk and the potential consequences thereof. That might sound trite, but it's actually factual. Having said that though, within any organisation, there should be a separate risk function, and there'll be a hierarchy within that function as well. But below that risk function, there should also be risk owners. Someone needs to be accountable. Someone needs to be asked the question at the end of the time period, what have you done? We talked about it, you accepted responsibility for treating it, you are responsible for it. So everyone at the organisation level is responsible to some extent, but there needs to be specific risk owners. So a risk register is simply a repository, a record of all the risks that have been identified. It describes them. It may well encompass the likelihood of that risk occurring and the consequences. The consequence should it occur. It will also allocate a risk owner who, as we discussed a moment ago, is responsible for ensuring that risk is treated. And it will then encompass all those risks that have also been closed as well. So it's a dynamic register of all the risks that the firm currently has identified, who's responsible for treating those risks, and then it also is a record of those risks that have been treated. The key point is it's dynamic. It's not static. Risk is ongoing and evolving. To some extent, that will depend on the size of the organisation. A very mature organisation will have a separate risk function for each business activity. The risk manager would be, for that particular activity, is the person responsible. But it's not feasible for a small business to have a separate risk management or a separate risk function. But it is feasible, as we said before, for everyone in the organisation, large or small, to be aware of the risks that their business face, the likelihood of that risk occurring, and the consequences thereof. With that bit of knowledge, the likelihood and the potential consequence, that will colour everyone's decision-making process, hopefully for the better.